Hello and welcome to the Bundesliga show, the Thursday edition, and here we are for the prediction show ahead of match week 13 in the Bundesliga. Obviously, we've just had a great weekend of European action as well, haven't we? Which is still ongoing actually tonight. And obviously, I'm joined by Peter, as you can see, who's still over in the land of the free in Alabama nowadays. Yeah, he's doing a kind of world tour of the USA by the look of it. But yeah, great. He's lucky. I'm here in 0 degrees in Germany, and he's got 25 over in Alabama. So yeah, lucky for some, as they say. But yeah, what about the European action, Peter? I mean, it's been a good week for the Bundesliga overall, hasn't it? Really? I mean, what games have really stood out for you so far, Peter?
Well, all of us Germans were, of course, overjoyed that club football returned after this disastrous international break, which leaves us feeling quite down about our country's prospects in the coming European Championships. But this week in particular, I think that Dortmund, the Champions League fixture, their third consecutive win in the Champions League, which did see them secure qualification for 2024 European club football, renders this coming weekend and the big showdown between Bayer Leverkusen and Borussia Dortmund, which Mark and I will be providing a watch along for, as a most intriguing encounter, because we have Dortmund back in form, 3 consecutive wins in the Champions League, very good comeback win against Gladbach last week, facing the phenomenon in German football. So this week of European action has us all perfectly set up for another great weekend of Bundesliga action.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the great results as well with Freiburg thrashing Olympiacos tonight to obviously make their way into the last. Well, we don't know in the Europa League because if they win the group, it'd be the last 16. If they get second, it'd be the last 32. So, yeah, obviously they've got a showdown with West Ham in a couple of weeks to decide who wins that group. But still, for Freiburg to qualify into the next round, that's a hell of an effort, really, considering the league form hasn't been that great in truth. So, yeah.
It's worth pointing out.
Let's get good, Peter. Yeah.
Well, the points total for all of these German teams that have punched through to the knockouts is really going to help the Bundesliga potentially get a 5th Champions League spot next season, as the Champions League switches to what they refer to as the Swiss system. So that's fantastic news for German football. It looks like we should probably get 5 German Champions League representatives, irrespective of whether any of them actually win the coming competitions. So that's more great news for the denizens of the Bundesrepublik, whom I say hello to and miss very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, let's have a look then. So match week 13, the season really starting to take hold now as we go past a third of the way through stage. We've got another 4 match day weeks before the winter break. So yeah, obviously it's really hotting up over here in the Bundesliga. But let's start off with the Friday night game, which is obviously very much a basement battle, isn't it? It's 2 teams in the bottom 4 currently in the Bundesliga, obviously newly promoted Darmstadt against FC Köln, who are once again rock bottom after Union Berlin's point last week. But yeah, I mean, this is a definition of a relegation 6-pointer, as we'd say over on the island. So yeah, this really is a massive game, proper Friday night fixture under the lights. As for the winner, it's very, very hard, this one. I mean, Darmstadt haven't won for quite a while. Since they got those back-to-back wins in September, they haven't won for quite a while now. Cologne have only won once all season against Gladbach, and, they're not looking that great at all. They don't create chances. They don't score goals. It's just not looking that good. But I can actually see this one being level pegging, to be honest. I think both sides, it looks like a draw written all over it, as they say. This one, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. What do you think, Peter?
We sync up perfectly. I think both of these teams probably have 1 goal in them, and that's about it. The press conferences today were quite interesting in that both Stefan Baumgart and Thorsten Lieberknecht referred to the relegation race, as we've been talking about on the pod in recent weeks, between 6-7 teams as a Schneckenrennen, or a snail's race. And Thorsten Lieberknecht even went so far as to say that his team is comfortable in their Schneckenhaus. They're very comfortable in their snail shell. So not expecting big fireworks here, but should be a highly physical game. That'll be interesting in that respect. very, very interested to see Lieberknecht's tactics after he started Aaron Seidel as a lead striker last week. Perhaps we'll see him, the former Mainz prospect, again. But 1-1, we sync up perfectly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the relegation race. It just seems like none of those teams can win games on anything like a regular basis. So it's a very, Peter correctly tipped last year that you need that 35 points to guarantee safety. But I've got a feeling that this year it's going to be way less. I think it might be like 30, even 29 could be enough, because so many of these teams, they're just not picking up enough wins to kind of accumulate that kind of points tally. But I guess we'll see over the next 4 games roughly what, maybe if some of those teams pick up, it could change a little bit. But yeah, let's go on to the next game, which is obviously, again, second place Bayern Munich against second bottom Union Berlin. This is definitely a game that looks quite one-sided, in truth. I just don't like that. I watched the game, Union Berlin-Braga, and I just didn't really see that much improvement from Union. It was a poor, by Champions League standards, it was a woeful game, actually, that one. And I just think that, with 10 men against Braga had 10 men and they were 1-0 up, you've got to be winning that game, but it's just summed up Union Berlin's season that they weren't able to see that out, and that's probably going to be the end of their European adventure unless they can beat Real Madrid somehow, which would be some turn up, let's be honest. But yeah, I think this one for Bayern Munich, it's got to be a simple win really here for me. I'm going to go for a 3-0 home win. What do you think, Peter?
I'll tip 4-0 in favor of the German record champions. Good God, you were right about that Braga match. I had the misfortune of having to cover it, and it was just woeful, wretched, putrid football from the new Union coaching regime of Nenad Bielica, I should say. Former Kaiserslautern midfield technician. But this appointment is already not working out. They, as you mentioned, they were a man up. And they were man up for, I believe, 3/4 of the match. Gosens was up there on the wings opposite Kevin Volland. And both of them were terrible. And so was Kevin Behrens. And so was David Datro Fofana off the bench. Just horrible touches in the final third. So, yeah, we still got a bunch of refuse when it comes to FC Union Berlin and possibly the wrong coaching appointment. Should we say that this is going to feature another Harry Kane hat trick? We might as well.
It's highly possible, yeah. I was so shocked when I saw the appointments. Some of the names that were linked, the likes of Glasner and then Bielica. I mean, I looked at his coaching record. Obviously, I did my due diligence, and his coaching record is anything but impressive, in truth. Yeah. And to me, it looks like a relegation appointment, if I'm being honest with you. It would have been better to keep Fischer than get him in my opinion, definitely. I think, you never know. I hope they prove us wrong, but I'm shocked, to be honest. I think the whole footballing world is kind of shocked with the fact that Union have plumped for him. But we'll have to see, But judging by the first game, yeah, as you say, it was very kind of poor football. And they were lucky to get a point, in truth, despite playing against 10 men for 3/4 of the match. So, yeah, not the best start for the young man in coach at Berlin at the moment. But yeah, let's go on to the next game. This is another one that looks relatively one-sided, in truth. Leipzig haven't been on the best form away from home, but at home they're a menace, aren't they? They very rarely don't win at home. And I think, once again, Heidenheim, I watched the game against Bochum, and that was also a dreadful match, actually, last Sunday. I was really disappointed with that one. Heidenheim have got to be winning that kind of game, and they didn't really show up, in truth. Neither did Bochum, in truth. But yeah, it was a poor game, that one. But I actually see Leipzig getting quite a comfortable win. I think Bester hasn't been on his best form, pardon the pun, in recent weeks. And I think maybe they might actually draw a blank here, I think, Heidenheim. So I'm going to go for another 3-0 home win here, actually. What do you think, Peter?
I think Heidenheim probably has one goal that they can get out of him. Tim Kleindienst blew a lot of opportunities last week.
Yeah,
that was probably the story of that match, which you correctly described as an absolutely woeful and wretched affair. It was terrible. I had to cover it, unfortunately. Yeah, it's Leipzig really outplayed Wolfsburg last week, and I think they had an XG ratio of almost 4-1, and should have won that game. So yeah, Leipzig are overdue for a good performance at home. you mentioned, and also Heidenheim are incredible at home, but haven't been so hot away from home this year. I think Heidenheim has one goal in them, either through Kleindienst or through one of Frank Schmidt's well-designed set pieces. But 3-1 would be my prediction in favor of the German Red Bulls.
Yeah. And then an interesting game, Gladbach against Hoffenheim. I think obviously Hoffenheim flew out of the blocks, didn't they, with Bayer impressing, Bebu getting a few goals, Kramaric. But for me, in the recent weeks, they've not fallen away, but they've not been as good, I wouldn't say. But Gladbach, on the other hand, I've been impressed with for probably about a month or so now. And I actually thought they played really well in Dortmund last week, and they were very unlucky to lose, in truth, I mean, it took one of those inspired BVB comebacks, which they are capable of. And I thought for the first half, for the large parts of the first half, Gladbach was superb. I thought, actually, I really think, Rocco Wright is really getting some form. Neuhaus, Player is on his best form for probably 3 seasons. He's been really good. And, Kvanchara has goals in him. There's a lot to be impressed with in this Gladbach team. And I actually think they'll turn Hoffenheim over in this game. I think in the last home game, they beat Wolfsburg 4-0, and they were absolutely superb in that game as well. And I actually see another, 3-4 goals here from Gladbach. I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win here. What do you think, Peter?
We sync up yet again. I have a lot of confidence and faith in Gladbach at this particular moment in time. I think that the Jordan injury makes no difference. He'll probably be out for the rest of the calendar year, but Kvankara is supposedly fit, and he can start alongside Alessandro Plea, who you mentioned is in fantastic form. Hoffenheim are beginning to buckle a little bit with the fact that Pellegrino Matarazzo is really pushing his team. He's making a lot of questionable personnel changes at the moment. And he's at his presser today, he was really hard on his team for not implementing his system, so to speak. But we've got that revolving door in the Hoffenheim back three. We got the fact that Grisha Prömel is out suspended in this one. Mm-hmm. Also news that both Florian Grilic and Anton Stach are battling illness. So we don't know who exactly can run the midfield if both of those happen to be sick. So 3-1 Gladbach victory sounds about right. And up the Foles. The Foles are on a roll.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, an interesting game as well, Bochum, Wolfsburg. Obviously, Bochum have still not managed to win this season at home, by the way, which is very, very unlike the Nord Rhine-Westfalen team, because, they pretty much built this is a third straight season in the Bundesliga, and most of that is because of the home form, let's be honest. They've always been very, very strong at home. They can turn some pretty good teams over at home, but this year it's just not worked out. And to be honest, I'm starting to worry about them a bit. I watched the game last week against Heidenheim, and they were just so blunt up top. I just thought Asano had a stinking game as well. He missed a lot of. He was in a lot of good positions. He didn't play well. Hoffmann has still not really fully got going this season, and I talked their front line up a lot last season. I was really impressed with it at times for a bottom half side, but this year it's just not really got going. But at the same time, Wolfsburg blows so hot and cold. I mean, there's no team in the league that blow hot and cold like they do. And I agree with you, Pete. They were very, very lucky to beat Leipzig on last weekend. It was one of those games where they just rode the luck and somehow managed to come out with a win. And I don't think they'll lose this game, but I think Bochum will get a point. They should have enough to get a point for me. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one. What do you think, Peter?
Bochum really need to start showing us something. I think that, there have been positives. Asano did score a brace in the team's lone win of the season. Sturger has been consistently good. I also like the midfield play of former German youth international Patrick Osterhager, who's now rounding himself into form. But, I mean, they have just given us too many draws. The attack is too blunt. Lech has tried all sorts of... Thomas Lech, actually, they just signed to a contract extension today. I'm not sure why. But he's tried things with Hoffmann, with Giancarlo Paciencia, with Lucas Daschner, with Andrea J, and Moritz Brzezinski, the former Dortmund prospect. Kwarteng is also fit again, and he can't seem to fit him into the offense. We need to see something from Bochum. And Wolfsburg, they blow hot and cold, as you say, but I think that they can win this one handily. I think that I would go for a 3-1 Wolfsburg victory.
Interesting, yeah. I think they won their big last year. I remember, I think they won, if memory serves me right, like 5-1. I think they went there and won. So they will have good memories from the Vonovia Stadion, that's for sure. Okay, yeah, an interesting game to round off the Saturday matches as well. A really interesting one, this, and it's obviously Stuttgart hosting Bremen. I mean, this is two teams that have really entertained us this season in a big way. I mean, obviously Stuttgart have just been, for me, I think after Leverkusen, they've been the team of the season. There's no question about that. I mean, there's endless positives you can say about the Baden-Württembergers. I mean, you've got obviously Gurasi Undav, the best second striker in Europe at the moment, I think, definitely. He's got 6 league goals just off the bench, which is just, okay, not all off the bench, but as a secondary striker, you could say. He's got 6 goals, which is superb. Yeah, obviously Mio and Furyk are just a gift that keep on giving, and they're probably 2 of the most improved players in the league this year. The defense is flying. Zagadou is a new player. I mean, Nubel is a renewed player as well. But I think obviously the loss of Ito will be a blow. I think Bremen, I mean, they're a side that they're not a bad team. They score goals and they entertain. Dux has kept his form going from last season. I've been impressed with Schmid. I think he's actually improved on last season. But the problem is it's that defence from Bremen, isn't it? I mean, defensively, they look poor at times. And I'm not overly convinced with Setterer, the new goalkeeper as well, in truth, so far. I'm not really sure that's a good change to take out Pavlenka there. So I think really it should be a good game, this one, but I think Stuttgart will get the win quite handily. I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win here. Peter?
Oh, man, do I have high hopes for this one. I hope you at least tune into 2. I hope our viewers at least tune into 2 Bundesliga fixtures this weekend, one being our watch-along on Dortmund Leverkusen. But this one, I think, has got a lot of goals in it. The big news from Stuttgart today, Rory and every other Stuttgart fan will be pleased to know, is that Sebastian Hoeneß did confirm at his press conference that both Undav and Guirassy will start together in the starting 11 for the first time this season. So we got a wonderful potential for fireworks on the Stuttgart side, no matter how he lines them up. And I agree with you about Bremen. They've supplied us with a lot of entertaining football this season. Dux and Rafael Santos Borre are slowly rounding themselves in the same form that the Füllkrug-Dux partnership was like. And so I think we got a 4-2 win for Stuttgart here. Nice 6-goal thriller in the Saturday evening Topspiel. So tune into this one. It absolutely has just goals and entertainment value written all over it. Can't wait for this one to get here. Going to be a great match.
To be honest, Peter, I also thought about going for 4-2 as well, but I've gone for a few really big scorelines recently, and they've not quite been as entertaining as I thought. But I agree, this is 2 very attacking teams with a lot of goals in them, and a few, especially on the Bremen side, a few defensive mistakes as well. So yeah, it could be a good one. Yeah, but yeah, we've got a triple header on Sunday as well. And what more can you want in a cold December afternoon, as I'm sure it will be all over Europe, than 3 Bundesliga matches and 3 interesting looking ones as well, starting with Mainz and Freiburg. I mean, this one, I think Mainz, I watched some of the game last week against Hoffenheim, and I thought they were some of the football was good, actually. They are starting to look a team that are. Another thing I love about them at the minute is that the fighting. They've got the fight back that they had for the last 2.5, 3 seasons under Svensson, which unfortunately went out at the beginning of this season. But the fight is back, and I've got no worries for them, actually. I think if you look at that bottom 6, even 7, they're the team I'd say are least likely to go down from what I've seen at the moment. I think Ajork, he's not getting the goals, but he's fighting again and he wants it. And that's great to see. They've also got quality on the team. Kachi is a great player. He's having a good season. Richter scored a real good finish last week, and he came back into form last week as well. And I just think they look pretty good. And I actually see them winning this game. I think obviously Freiburg have had the Thursday night fixture, which obviously they've won really well. But I don't know, like in the league, they just seem to be they're not playing badly, but they're not really hitting absolute top form at the minute. And I just feel as though Mainz are in better form in the league, in my opinion. You know, the 4 unbeaten now, and I think the last home game they beat Leipzig quite well too. So I do see them getting a 2-1 home win. What do you think, Peter?
Oh, interesting. I'm going to go with Freiburg here. I know that it's actually previously been the case this season that after a big Europa League win, Freiburg have looked tired and devoid of ideas on the tight turnaround fixture a couple days later. But I'm really pleased that Merlin Röhl, who you mentioned, Rocco writes, Merlin Röhl, who is the other big Germany U21 phenomenon, he was hurt last week, unfortunately, and that's one reason why Freiburg underperformed against Darmstadt. But in any case, he was off the bench in today's Europa League fixture. He looked quite good. I'm surprised no one has attributed the magician mantle to him, from Arthurian legend, since his name, I guess, German press isn't really up to date on their Welsh history for whatever reason. But I'm really excited to see him. I think I agree with you with Mainz. They were by far the better team. They absolutely deserved to win that match against Hoffenheim. That's why I can't back Hoffenheim this week, because they were not the better team at all. I mean, it was ridiculous last week. I mean, Ayman Barkok missed for and a penalty. Marco Richter, I think, hit the goal frame 3 times.
Yeah.
So I think that Mainz have goals in them, and I think this is going to be another high-scoring match. I'm tipping a 3-2 Freiburg win. I think this will also be a great way to start your Sunday before our watch-along, which we've been building up towards, and we'll get to that now, I suppose.
Yeah. And obviously, well, it's going to be one of the big games of the season, isn't it? Bayer Leverkusen against Borussia Dortmund. I mean, this is just what the Bundesliga is all about, really. And as you say, some really good-looking fixtures, actually, this weekend, I think. Yeah, especially on the Sunday, probably. But yeah, I think it's a really, really ridiculously hard one to tip, because, I mean, Dortmund, we all know that they like this kind of fixture, in my opinion. They don't like playing Bayern Munich, but they do have a good record against teams like Leipzig, Leverkusen, and they kind of play the role of party poopers in some ways. I remember a few years ago they beat Leipzig when Leipzig were going for the title alongside Bayern as well. And do you know what? Something deep down tells me that they might end up doing the old rival a favor here. I don't know why, but I just think Leverkusen are brilliant. We all know that. And nothing, even if they lose this game 4-0, nothing will change that. They're the best team in the league, probably, but that doesn't guarantee you a league title. That's the problem. And when you've got a team like Bayern Munich on your tails, then, yeah, there are easier things than beating them to a title, as a lot of teams have found out in recent years, no less than Borussia Dortmund themselves as well. And yeah, I've got a feeling that they're going to play party pooper here. I think I back Leverkusen in every game this season. I think I've tipped them to win every match in our predictions, but this is where that run is going to end, actually. And I think it's going to be a brilliant game, but something just tells me they're going to get a 3-2 away win here for Dortmund. What do you think, Peter?
I agree with you on the scoreline. I have it reversed. I think that Leverkusen with the 3-2 victory, and a lot of that is and thank you to Bottom for ensuring that we're all up to date on what is going on right now in the Europa League between Leverkusen and Hecken. Xabi has rotated all of his regular actors out for the Europa League, which he does because he uses that 3-4-3 in the league, which is pretty much unstoppable. And something very, very important that just occurred in the Europa League match is that Victor Boniface, who has been having some problems finishing, he's been very, very profligate in front of goal recently, scored the opening goal for the Werkself. So with him back in a goal-scoring mood, I was back and forth on this a little bit too, because Dortmund have shown such fine form recently. But I think Xabi has got his regular 11 for the league. Wirtz, I believe, should be back in time. And with Boniface having his shooting boots on again, Leverkusen will prevail 3-2 in a 5-goal thriller. Lots of goals in this one. Should be an excellent fixture. It should be an excellent Sunday overall, as you pointed out, on a frigid day there in the Bundesrepublik. Great day to curl up in front of the television and take in 3 great matches. Yeah, 3-2 for Leverkusen, and with Boniface scoring again. There was some discussion about whether they were going to start Patrick Schick over Boniface. Can you imagine that?
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there was. But because Boniface he's been having some problems finishing in front of goal lately. But with that problem solved, Leverkusen are the winners, in my opinion.
Yeah, that would be too harsh, because I think Boniface is more than just the goals. Like it's his build-up play, and the fact that he chases down and he gets a lot of he connects the play together as well. And I agree that his finishing isn't he's not Harry Kane when it comes to finishing, let's say that much, or even Guirassy at the moment, But I mean, it's his overall play. I mean, surely they couldn't be thinking about starting Schick, because Schick, let's be honest, his career is completely derailed, really, And also the type of striker he's just like a finisher. That's all he does, really. He's just like a penalty box finisher, really. And I don't think his overall build-up play would complement the likes of Hoffman, Palacios, Wirtz as much as what Boniface does. That's my opinion. But yeah, maybe Xabi Alonso just got tired, as he has been missing quite a few chances in the last 3 or 4 games. That's for sure. But yeah, as Peter said, join us Sunday, 5:30 German time. We will be going live for this game with our commentary, and it's going to be one of probably the most eagerly anticipated games since obviously Leverkusen played Bayern, I think, way back in September. So yeah, you've got to check in for this game. Okay, yeah, and then the final one, yeah, it's my boys, isn't it? Augsburg, yeah, the Bavarian Schwabians, yeah, and this is also quite an attractive looking fixture, because it's not an easy one to predict, really. I think Augsburg they've gone from a team that lost too easily at times to a team that just don't lose games all of a sudden. Yeah, they've not lost in 5 matches now under Toro. And it's not all pretty football at times, but they have a way of getting results in this league, And I think they've gone from a team that you were really worried for in the early part of the season, when it just fell apart really for Enrico Maaßen, didn't it? To a team that you don't really see losing that many games. But Frankfurt, I was a bit disappointed with them last week against Stuttgart. I expected they would, they should probably have lost more easily than the 2-1 that they did in that one. But overall, I think they're on a good trajectory. Frankfurt, I think they put recently, but again, it's still under Dino Topmuller, it's still a kind of work in progress, I think you would say, And I actually see this one being a 2-2 draw. Actually, it's a kind of random prediction, but I think probably Frankfurt will take the lead a couple of times, but I can see Augsburg getting a late equalizer in this one. What do you think, Peter?
I think it looks pretty good for your boys. Again, that's based on some things that are happening right now, live as we speak. Dino Topmuller has not really rotated at all in his Conference League fixture, which is very, very curious to me, considering the fact that Frankfurt have already secured qualification. Marmouche is in the 11, Larson is in the 11, Chaibi is in the 11, Shkiri is in the 11. He will probably have fresh wingbacks on the weekend in the form of Philip Max and Aurelio Buta. So those are the only 2 fresh players that he's going to have there. But Augsburg, under their new trainer, Jes Torup, they've drawn the last 3 matches, so his undefeated start is becoming a little bit less impressive. They've drawn their last 3 matches 1-1. But I think that at home at the VWK Arena, they pull out a 2-1 victory over Frankfurt. And I don't know where the goals are going to come from. Maybe one from Tietz and one from Demirovic. Those are your 2 best players under the coaching regime. But I think that Augsburg win it based largely on Topmuller's squad selection for this evening's Conference League fixture.
Yeah, I always find it funny, really, that the German teams always seem to go strong in Europe, even when they've got a big fixture. As you say, the fact that Boniface is starting tonight really shocks me in many ways. Because for me, if I was the manager, I'd put the under-23 squad out there tonight. Because it's a long trip up to Sweden as well from here. I think Häcken is North Sweden too. It's not south, so it could be like a 3-hour train drive. Plane. It could be a 3-hour flight up there. And for me, I would literally play the under-23s for that. I wouldn't care because at the end of the day, they're already through the group. I think they've already won the group as well. So I find it bizarre that they would even think about risking key players for that. And the same with Frankfurt too, because they're already through. So why would you risk that with a hard game coming up on Sunday? But I guess to get money, I think you get a bit of money for every single individual win you get in Europe as well. So it could be potentially that too, and also maybe respect for the competition and things like that. Okay, but yeah, that rounds up our predictions for today then. So let's have a look at my table, and then I'll let Peter take you through his. So yeah, if things come right, then Bayern Munich, actually for the first time in a long, long time, would end up topping the table come Sunday evening. Bayer Leverkusen would slip to the first defeat. Obviously, this is all just speculation. It's anything could happen. And Stuttgart would actually close the gap as well, back to just 4 points on Leverkusen, with Dortmund making up the top 4. And if you look at the bottom, again, a lot of these teams not really picking up that many points. We'd have Köln and Union at the bottom on just 7 points from 13 games. Then Darmstadt and Bochum making up the bottom 4, with Mainz potentially leaping up a few places. But yeah, what about yours, Peter? How does yours look?
Well, with Leverkusen winning, they still top my table. Bayern München are second. VfB Stuttgart they maintain their grip on third place with their win. Leipzig climb into the top 4 above Dortmund based on the fact that they're projected to win and Dortmund are not. Hoffenheim remain where they are, with Wolfsburg coming up at their heels, 19 points versus 20 points. Augsburg solidify their place as a mid-table side, almost, even leap ahead of Gladbach. And this Schneckenrennen that is our relegation race continues, with FC Union Berlin in last place on 7 points, Köln, Mainz, Darmstadt, Bochum, and Heidenheim. Also, Werder Bremen, after their loss, only 4 points, separating 12th place and 18th place in my table. We'll be talking about the relegation race a lot this year, and I like what you said at the beginning. I was always fully prepared to have the 35 points sign hung around my neck again as we head into the stretch run of the season, but I think we might be talking 29 or 30 this year based on this snail's race. That's coming our way, which is may not be the prettiest.
Yeah. Well, the big question is who will drop. But yeah, we'll also do a few shows as well over the Christmas period, like kind of summing up the first half of the season and letting us know what I think me and you did it last year, Peter, didn't we? It ended up being a really interesting show, that like our predictions for the second half of the season. I think
perhaps,
they didn't really come right, but still.
Well, that's true. We predicted a collapse for FC Union Berlin. We were just 6 months shy of.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But perhaps during the Christmas break we'll focus on a few teams, because there's many interesting teams in the Bundesliga this year. So if you guys have any teams that you would like us to do, a special tactical focus on, walk you through their season, so to speak, do suggest those, because be happy to take you on a journey through their highs and lows over the course of the season, based on tactics, based on personnel, based on coaching changes, as may be the case, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we've still got a lot coming for you. As Peter said, no lesson this Sunday evening, 5:30 German time. That will be 4:30 UK time as well. And yeah, American time, you'll have to Google it, unfortunately. So yeah, but yeah, let's have a look then. So yeah, if you enjoyed what you saw today, then check out at Over the Bar FB and at Over the Bar Extra. Also at Village Footy 20 if you want to follow us. And then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well, and let us know what you think about our predictions. So, thanks a lot, guys. It was a pleasure. Also, remember to check out last night's fantasy football as well. That came out a day earlier. And also check out last Monday's review as well. So, we've got the next show coming for you on Sunday, 5:30, which is the watch-along for Bayer Leverkusen against Borussia Dortmund. Thanks, Peter, as always, and we'll see you there.